Hey everybody, it's Andrea Trout with Prime IV Hydration and Wellness. We're located in Delray Beach, and now we have new locations in West Boca, Wellington, Weston, down in Broward County, and then some that are not mine in Palm Beach Gardens, Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Lauderdale by the Sea. So you have a lot of options. In Delray, West Boca, or Wellington, come see us and mention the word sweet and get any IV for $149. And especially now with the holiday season coming, keep your immune system strong and be ready for those sparkling holiday parties. We hope to see you soon. Hello, everyone. It's Sweet, aka Andrea, and I'm here with Spicy Spice.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We are officially recording our first one in 2025 with the fabulous Nancy Reagan.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we are calling it No Stress Friday from here on out because it might have been a little stressful before this.
Quite.
There are a few F-bombs dropped.
Few.
A few of our friends out there that may or may not listen don't like them. We're sorry. We love you. We're never going to stop cussing. And I also have to point out, we're in our new recording studio with our producer, Janine, at the new Stella Mix Studio. So congratulations to Janine.
Yay.
It's so cute.
I love it.
And you did it in a very short period of time. So well done. And thank you, Amazon. So today we're going to go back and revisit some random skincare questions with Nancy, which Carolina has ready, of course.
Yes.
I have a couple that aren't on her list as far as I'm aware.
The skincare bombs questions.
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
So we did this the last time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. Like, I feel like we talked a little about a lot.
We did. And I really want to add something for the new year too, because I think we should get into more perimenopause skin.
Oh, I like it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I think we should.
And I know Andrea brought up that we want to talk about your journey, like getting into.
That's a future episode.
Yeah.
Because we've never really done your health journey and your business journey, which I think go hand in hand, a lot of it. And I think that would be a great topic.
If anybody's interested.
Oh, there's plenty of people interested. Absolutely. If you can't learn from an entrepreneur who's been in the skincare business for, 30 years?
Almost 30. Mm-hmm.
I mean, then you're not in business. So anyway.
Failure's the best option.
Fail forward.
Right?
Fail forward. But go ahead. Hit her with your first one, Carolina.
All right. So my first question is, when people, and I may have asked this before, like I said, I don't remember, but when people are shopping for makeup or skincare products, what are the key ingredients to look for that you want to stay away from?
Oh, gosh. The list goes on forever.
And I know there's a lot, but we've talked about a lot of ingredients in here.
A lot.
And I can't remember them. I'm almost 50.
Come on, list
I can't remember shit.
Well, the easiest way, I think, to go shopping is there's apps out there that can test your ingredient. It's an AI app that will read the label on the
You're
skincare.
kidding.
Mm-mm. And they have it. I know it's on iPhone, but you literally take a picture of it. Some of my estheticians that are super techie, they use it all the time. And they'll be in Sephora or Ulta or wherever. They'll take a picture and they'll look at it and then they'll go, oh my God, it's got these chemicals in it. I mean, I know from the old school of, the parabens and the heavy duty fragrance and those, and there's isopropyl myristate, isopropyl palmitate. I know all of those things, but the average person, even my estheticians, going to look at stuff, they're not going to remember that this is a terrible thing.
So does the app, when you scan it, does it give you a safety?
It gives you a safety. This is clean. This is not clean.
Okay.
The other thing that
But what's considered clean? If it's got one bad ingredient.
It'll give you a variation of, and ChatGPT.
Like an A, B, C, D.
Chat will do exactly the same thing.
Okay.
So if you, because you can take a picture in ChatGPT, you can load it up to chat and say, hey, is this a non-toxic skincare? Is this a non-toxic cleanser?
Wow.
And you can ask, and it will tell you. It will tell you if it's vegan. It will tell you, hey, what are the 4 ceramides in this? If it really says it has ceramides, because a lot of times people are hiding ingredients. They're also taking, really popular to do with products is to take what is a buzzword
Right.
and make it so it's the lowest thing on the ingredient list so that it's not powerful enough to really do anything.
I would say it's negligible,
Right.
but it's in there so
it's
they
in
can
there.
use it as their marketing.
They use
Yeah.
it for their marketing. So they might take NAD, and they might have NAD down at the very, very bottom of the ingredient list. So is it really doing it? There's some super popular creams by really famous manufacturers that they do this all the time. And it's it's scary that they do it, but that's the game.
And they
Right.
get away with it.
They get away.
The one I was thinking is the hyaluronic acid.
Mhm.
And so that's such a buzzword right now. It's got
Right.
hyaluronic acid to plump your face up, right?
Exactly.
And so some of those have hardly any in there.
Well, there's different grades of hyaluronic. And so they'll use a watered down hyaluronic because it becomes in a powder and you mix water with it to make it actually form. So you need that to be able to actually make it into the ingredient. But if you have one that's so watered down, like the ones they're selling on Amazon for $15 a
Right.
bottle, that's not your grade, hyaluronic acid that's going to really plump your face.
Yeah.
The really good ones are super thick when they're in the plump. So they're super thick and they're $90 or $100 from a
Right.
manufacturer.
So that's where the price difference can come into play.
Right.
But just because it's $90 or $100 doesn't mean
no.
it's good.
Mm-mm.
But if you're getting a $15 one with, say, hyaluronic, you can pretty much know it's not the quality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even there's some $300 creams that, oh my gosh, it's got vitamin C in it, but the vitamin C is not enough of it. It needed, if you were doing the formula, it needed 3% vitamin C in the formula to actually make it do what it's supposed to.
Right.
But it's only got, 0.5%,
If that.
if that.
Yeah.
But they're playing the game.
Of course.
But ChatGPT is not going to tell you what the percentage is.
No. Mm-mm.
Right.
The only person that knows the percentage is a cosmetic scientist. I mean,
Right.
and they would have to take the formula and then have to tear it apart and back into it.
Right.
But it's very commonly done. Very commonly done.
So partly it's knowing the brand and knowing the veracity of it, trusting a brand to some extent.
Exactly. You have to trust the brand, but also be very aware that the older brands, what used to be a older brand may have changed along their formula along the way, so that hey, a venture capitalist might have bought this particular skincare, so now what used to be a great product isn't so great anymore.
What comes to mind, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but I immediately think of oil of Olay because it probably used to be a very different product when grandma used it. And
Right.
I've seen people, oh, my grandma used this, so I use this today. It's fine. I don't use anything else. And I just have had that thought. I'm like, I bet it is such a different formula.
Well, and there's a lot of new brands that came to market that were awesome brands, and then they were purchased by
Yeah.
big
Money, venture capital.
venture capital, and then all of a sudden the venture capital is like, oh, we got to make money, let's cut this formula. What can you do to take the ingredients out so
Yeah.
it's not hey, we'll and honestly they really think we're stupid that we won't notice any difference, which is pretty crazy.
So going back to your question, sodium lauryl
Sulfate,
that's usually in shampoos. Is that in
it can be
cleansers?
in cleansers too.
Because that makes stuff sudsy. That's one to avoid.
That is one to avoid.
Mhm.
There are, just like mineral oil in the United States and mineral oil in Europe are two different grades of mineral oil. The same goes with sodium lauryl sulfate. So what is made in Europe might have a different things. And also in Europe, a paraben is not necessarily cancer causing because in the form of the paraben is used, it can be used just to keep the formula preserving. But it's technology and the chemistry that's making it work. But I mean, if you have a choice of staying away from it completely, it's much better to stay away from it.
Yeah. And then anything else too, like we've talked about this retinol A or retinol
Hmm.
because it thins the skin, which down the road is aging.
Correct. I mean, I'm just not a big fan of tretinoid.
Yeah.
And people love it
They
and they
swear
think
by
that they
it.
swear by it. But I see the skin after 10 years or I see the skin after 15 years, and you're looking at this skin that has been, exfoliated, 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 and it's so much thinner. And tretinoid and retin A and retinol, they are acid forms of vitamin A. And if you have a fat soluble form of vitamin A, it actually absorbs into the skin and re-educates the skin cell. The acid form doesn't, it sloughs off everything.
Mm.
So you're looking for things that nurture the skin from the inside out, not things that are going to strip the skin.
Right.
And so with that, like, is it ever beneficial to do something where you're taking off like the top layer of the skin, just like superficially, where you're kind of doing anything
I
that's
love
exfoliating?
I love it if you lightly exfoliate, for example, with a cool peel or like a very light lactic acid or anything that is not going to be taking off like a lot of layers at one time. It's okay for you to like slough and like very lightly like peel, but I don't want this heavy duty, I've got to stay inside for a week.
I
I
see.
mean, it's your skin goes through so much trauma. You're a burn victim. That's essentially what has happened
With the
is
heavy chemical peels.
with the heavy chemical peels.
So like last night I used the fruit
Enzyme.
enzyme. So that's just a very light and
Enzymes are like Pac-Man
yeah.
and they just eat the dead skin.
Okay.
They can be very powerful depending on how they're mixed. You can mix fruit enzymes with acids like lactic acid or glycolic or salicylic. You could mix them all together, but the fruit enzyme just by itself is awesome enough just to in pineapple, all of them, they're just enough just to exfoliate.
And I mean, my skin looked so good afterwards. I was like, oh,
I feel
it was
good.
great. I love it. It's like you felt after the one you
Yeah.
got from hers. This was a little sample thing she gave me. And I put it on last night. I'm like, oh, I need some help.
Yeah. Your skin actually looks really good
Oh,
today.
thank
It does.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I was like,
Very
that one's good.
glowy.
And I have another one you gave me, the glycolic.
Mhm.
That's so good. Anyway.
So, and that was just one question.
Sorry,
See?
we'll be here for days.
Right?
It's
Okay,
March
the next one, I
2024.
think the next one is a little easier. I've always wondered about this because there's face cream, there's firming cream, there's eye cream. Do you really need all of that? Like, so what is the difference? Let's say you get a really good eye cream and a really good face cream. What is the actual difference?
And real quick, just for people that aren't seen visually, Nancy shook her head. You don't need all of them. She said no.
Mm-mm. I'm a really big fan of simple. So, and if your face cream, okay, so a serum is where the power is. A serum is going to absorb, or serum or a gel is going to absorb, and that is where the power should be to physically make a difference in the skin.
Okay.
The cream or the moisturizer is going to, depending on how it's manufactured, it's going to be an occlusive barrier to prevent moisture from escaping from the skin. The ingredients help to soften and hydrate the upper layers, but oftentimes it's just a barrier. So
To keep moisture in.
to keep moisture in.
And sometimes the way it's manufactured means it's keeping moisture out.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So my
Just
question
understanding
really
that,
is,
like-
calling it an eye cream, is that just a gimmick to sell more products?
It depends what is in the
That's
eye
good.
cream.
Right.
So, for example, I personally am not a big fan of eye creams because I want it to do something. So, an eye serum or an eye gel will actually absorb around this area much better.
Which a face cream won't.
Correct.
So you kind of do still need both, just not necessarily a cream, more of a gel or a serum.
If you had to pick one product that you used after you cleanse, and you weren't going to use a toner, I would pick a serum.
And if it says eye serum, you can use it all over the face?
You could use it all over the face. It's not going to make a difference, but what it's designed for is the delicate tissue. It's also, if it's manufactured correctly, it has ingredients in it that make the actual purple and the fading, if somebody has kidney or where they're holding water or whatever. So it makes it so that it dissipates the purple.
Right.
So it makes it so you don't see that pigmentation. So it depends on what's in the eye gel as to how it performs.
And what's in something that helps dissipate those shadows?
There are a variety of ingredients. I mean, if you're looking at vitamin A, C, and E work very well together as a powerhouse to help that completely dissipate. It's helping with the pigmentation. You're also looking at fat-soluble vitamin A.
I was going to say, and there we go into marketing again, because you see them, but you have to know how much is in there.
Right, and I want it to be a fat-soluble vitamin A, not an acid form.
Is there a name for that?
For the
fat-soluble vitamin A?
It's a retinol palmitate.
Is fat-soluble vitamin A.
Vitamin A.
So that's okay as a retinol palmitate.
They don't call it a retinol because it's fat soluble. Because the NOL off the end of it gives it more.
But on the label, it's retinol.
It's retinol, NYL.
Oh, retinol.
Sorry.
I see.
I got my southern thing in there.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, just understanding what you're looking for is half the battle.
Right. And again, it goes back to trusting the brands. A lot of brands, I mean, they're out there right now with niacinamide, which is a form of B.
Yeah.
And they're out there with it talking about, my product's got niacinamide. It's the best thing. But it's not necessarily enough that's in there.
Yeah.
But that's NAD, niacinamide. That's going to help with anything around this whole area. There's a valerian root that helps to take the purple out. That is amazing for bruising.
And that would help internally too then?
It would help internally too.
So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the firming cream, is that the eye cream and the face cream don't do that?
It depends what's in it.
Okay.
So the lifting cream, if it has... if the lifting cream has a powerhouse in it that is going to change the cellular structure of the skin, oh man, you can call it lifting cream all day long because it's really doing what it says. But most of the lifting creams out there are it's a manufactured cosmetic. I don't know if you've ever been in the mall, but somebody goes, you're walking by the mall and they have, oh my gosh, try this cream, just pat it right here, and everything will go away completely. So all it is their little formula for making the skin smooth out,
which I've actually used, and it works in the moment.
Correct. And half an hour later,
correct,
everything's
or
back.
it's cakey and white stuff.
Exactly. So it's designed to make it go away immediately. So you buy it,
correct,
and then you get home and it never works. Like what it's supposed to. But it's the chemical structure that it's made to let me smooth it out immediately. I mean, it's the same thing as some of the manufacturers of big machines out there, they're selling, you gotta use ours because it bubbles. And so I kept asking, what was in the bubbles? And it's our own proprietary blend.
Meaning it pushes out bubbles of the nozzle or whatever the end is. That was what they were saying was good. That's hilarious.
Well, when I found out it was baking soda, I was really like, oh my gosh, you guys got to be kidding me, because that's what it was.
You made a science project. Congratulations. A sixth grade science problem.
You can erupt a volcano too. So remember when as a kid we did that? But that's what was in this, and they were selling this machine for $25,000.
I was saying for thousands. Yeah.
$25,000 they were selling this machine. And that was their proprietary blend of ingredient. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So could I come to you if I came to you and said, I want an eye cream, a face cream, and a lifting cream all in one? Do you have it?
I do not.
Okay.
I can do like a serum that I would recommend to you. I would probably say, here's the serum. I would start here. I would see how you like the serum for the eye and the face and the neck.
Okay.
And see how it absorbs and see whether or not it's enough moisture or not enough moisture. If you need more moisture, add the cream on, and I would go with the cream next.
Okay.
And then if you hate the eyes at the end of that, add on the eye gel.
Okay.
Because to me, it's like we only have so many hours in the day. So it's like, how many more products can you apply?
I don't know. The Koreans have a 13, 15 step. If you really dove into it, it's like crazy.
Enough already.
I go back to
why they have
the glazed
skin
donut.
that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that and the genetics and environmental, and they carry a parasol around all day and are never in the sun.
They're never in the sun.
Never.
And their skin is like amazing. And they spend
porcelain
a fortune on treatments. I mean, they would never miss having a facial. I mean, that is just part of it. I mean, they start early, and that is part of their life.
And it's like a cultural thing.
It's a whole cultural thing. And Americans are not, that's not the thing.
It's not in our collective culture to have this type of skincare. But it's starting. I mean, it's starting to get more prevalent.
It would be nice if mothers could start, because what happens is your children watch you.
Yeah.
And your children see what you're doing or not doing. And when the mothers start with the children, that's like, oh, okay. So they start to see what's changing. And it's kind of cool because they watch even as you get older, it's like, oh, my mom didn't let herself go.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm not letting myself go.
Yeah.
And then I watch my nieces, and I watch who stays up with things and who doesn't. And it's interesting watching.
Yeah, it's funny. Speaking of kids, because it kind of goes both ways. So just the other night, I now tell Isabel a lot from the things that I learn in here.
That's awesome.
And also because of how I didn't take care of my skin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, learning from my mistakes. So I tell her, you have to wash your face every night. Don't pick at your pimples. It's going to leave a scar. Don't do this. Don't do that. You got to clean your brushes. You got to make sure you take your makeup off before bed. And she gets annoyed with me because I like say it almost every night. And I was like, listen, I was like, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm regretting it. And
right.
So your skin is completely different than mine. Like you need to protect that skin. And so
I don't think I washed my face at night until I was 25.
I don't think I did it until I was like 45.
Yeah, I never. My mother could have cared less. Like it was like, no.
My mom didn't care, but I think I told you I convinced her I needed the 5-step Mary Kay system when I was like 13 and all the makeup, and I got it.
Really?
And I had it set up on my counter, and guys, I'm not organized. They gave you the little organizer, so your 5 steps were there on that, and then you had the makeup. Oh, I was not going to miss out on my 5 steps. I was freaking 13. My mother didn't do that.
Oh, that's
I was
awesome.
sold. I don't know if the Mary Kay line was good for me or not, but I was religious about it. I washed, I toned, I did all the things.
That's cool.
I don't even remember what the 5 steps are now. But and the thing, like you said with Izzy's skin, that I was going to say, like you have, like we've talked about it, where genetically you have more of the Latina skin with the
oil.
Is it more lipids, right?
Yeah.
Which is nice because isn't that anti-aging?
Completely.
Right. Whereas Izzy looks like your redheaded stepchild, even though she's your biological daughter. But she looks Irish.
Yeah.
Is that her dad's side, right?
Yeah, she's got half of that,
half Irish, but she looks Irish. So she's got that fair skin and the red hair. And like that, I mean, beautiful skin, but it's a very different process, right?
Very
to take care of.
different aging process too.
Yeah.
Very different.
And that's where you got to keep her out of the sun.
Right.
Burning.
So the other part of that is she's now at the age where, you know, I go in the mornings to do my makeup and none of my shit's in my bag because it's all in her room. And I'm thinking, I don't know if you can use what I use because I don't, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if it's going to affect you differently or whatever. So, but my one question about that was retinol, because when I did get retinol, they were like, you got to start out with the lowest one and then you graduate to the next level. And is it safe for all ages? It's not. At what age would you recommend doing retinol?
Maybe 24,
Okay.
25. I mean, I'm just not a fan of retinol at all.
She doesn't like
Like,
it.
I
So
don't like it.
that's what
I
we were
mean-
saying before, the vitamin A
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
fat soluble is a kind of tangential to it, if I'm
Right.
understanding right,
Right.
is a better form of it.
I mean, you have your goal is to nourish the skin, not strip it.
Right.
And the retinol is stripping
Which
the
is why
skin.
you have to start out small.
Right. That's why,
Right?
you know, and you go outside and the sun hits you and all
they
of a
did
sudden
tell
it's
me
like,
don't wear it if you're going to go in the sun.
I mean, it's so like, welcome to Florida. We're supposed to
Right.
stay
I
inside.
know.
Like, you know, the first time I did it, like I was like, oh, and more is better. So I see TikTok people, they're putting like, they have like this stuff all over their face, their retinol. Oh, more is better. And they're wiping it in like big pea size on everything. And I'm like, are these people nuts?
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
one little bit of retinol does your whole face, but I was the person who put the retinol in and then went and played tennis at noon on Saturday, you know, in the middle of the day. And I mean, I would come home and my face was not only red from exercising
You were
and,
burned.
you know, 85-degree, you know, humidity or whatever, but I was fried,
Right.
you know, and the fried is not just little fry, you're fried.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Right.
so it just is it's not necessary, I don't think, to harm the skin for the actual, there's other alternatives now that are much better.
Okay.
It's the marketing.
It is.
Retinol.
Right.
I mean, it's the marketing.
It's a machine. That retinol is a marketing machine because
Yeah.
it's everywhere. And people, like, I'm in these groups where women give, you know, other people feedback and everybody's like, oh, you need retinol. You need retinol. And I'm like, I don't even say it because I'm like, I'm not getting in a fight with you today on Facebook. I don't
just
care.
some guy
I'm like, okay,
ripped
then
me
your
apart.
skin out.
Like he ripped me all apart
About retinol?
and I was like, okay, whatever, dude.
I
was like,
know.
I just don't feel like it. You want to have your face red? Like, I mean, you look like a lobster.
And thin
I
skin.
mean, and thin skin. I'll talk to you when you're 90. Okay.
Yeah. So I picked up an addiction over the holiday.
Yes.
Oh, this is good.
My mom bought me the red light therapy mask.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I remember.
oh my gosh. Like if I could wear that thing all day, I would.
Oh yeah.
And it says like
Don't wear all day.
it says use 3 to 5 times. And I was like, is it really going to make a difference if I use it every night? Like, so
All week.
I'll use it like 2 nights. And I'm like, I make myself take off the
3 to
third
5
night.
times a day or
No,
a week?
No,
a
week.
week. A week.
Yeah.
But my mom told me my sister uses it every
Every-
single night.
Wow.
And that's what her instructions say on hers. The one I got says 3 to 5 times.
You can use, it depends on the power.
I know, I was going to
and the
say.
light. It depends on the power, but I'm sure if it's sold, like it was purchased, I am sure that the light is okay, but it doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
I mean,
So I can use it 7 nights a week?
you could, I mean, depending on the technology, unless she just bought the one that is the best of the best, but even the ones we have that we use that are the commercial professional size,
Right.
we could use them every day. I mean, and these are big, giant, like
On stands.
Yeah, we have one on stands. We have another, you know, we have
Yeah.
3 of them. And it's like, I really wanted the body one.
Yeah.
but I'm so creepy about like bacteria and germs and everything.
They have a body one?
Yes, they have a body one.
Carolyn is like
Oh,
obsessed.
and I was at the show and I was like, oh my God, we got to have that body one. That thing is awesome. And the closer you are to the LED light, the better it is.
Yeah.
So it means that the closer that it is, it's going to do better for the skin. So I was like, oh my God, my knees are going to be perfect. There's no going to be wrinkles in my elbows ever again. So I was like all down for this like thing. And I'm like, oh, but if people lay on it and then they turn over and lay on it, the people, I'm like, oh no, people have laid on it. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get the creep out of the.
Yeah.
Was it so you did the one at Joe's old place, right? My
Yes.
friend Joe's, and
Yeah.
that creeped you out too, because you would wipe it down afterwards.
It was kind of creepy. But
Oh,
the
it
other
didn't
part
bother me at
about
all.
that one, the other one about that is it's not close enough on the top that it's actually doing anything except just like, heating you up
We
like
could
a
turn
turkey.
over.
Yeah.
You could turn over because the bottom, you're right against
You're
it.
right against it, but it's
I
really,
loved those. I
it
was sad
so
when-
hot.
It was amazing.
God, that thing was like
It was like a tanning bed, but red light.
Yeah. I
It
remember
was
Joe telling me about
so
that.
amazing.
that was amazing.
So yeah, it's the highlight. I look forward. It's the highlight of my day.
Have you
every day
started
now.
seeing changes?
Yes,
Okay.
immediately. And I don't know what it is about, like, I notice things immediately when I try new stuff.
Well, it affects the lymphatic system too. So it's affecting the
Oh.
circulatory system. So let's say holidays, well, it's a very popular time.
Yeah, really.
And you might have gotten a little puffiness, and so you're seeing that reduction in
That was the main thing I recognized. The night that I use it, the very next morning, it's almost like I had a facelift.
right,
It's so crazy.
right.
And so, and then the nights that I didn't use it, I can tell the next morning I didn't use it.
It's really wild. I use it a lot, especially for acne clients, because after you've like really have a really bad acne client, they're so red and they're so like it's terrible. And we use the blue light to actually help the bacteria and also to help the healing part. 20 minutes under that LED, and they walk out and there's like no redness, and they're like, oh my God, you were like diving in, and it's kind of cool because it does make such a difference.
Well, I'm like a little kid when I get new things, and I'm not very good at reading instructions. So I like open the box, I'm plugging it in, and I'm looking at the thing and turning it on. I'm like, oh my God, look how cool these lights are. Like, and then I lay down, like I'm looking at all the lights, the yellow, the green, the purple, the blue, whatever it was. And then the very first thing on the instruction manual, do not look into the lights.
Right.
I'm like, well, I'm going to go blind now.
Oops.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely cover your eyeballs.
Okay, so
We got the question 3.
yeah, I think that was 4.
Okay.
One thing I did really want to ask, because I'm a huge fan of masks, but there's so many different kinds of masks. I personally like clay masks, but I know that there's gel, there's sheet masks, peel off masks. The list goes on and on and on. So are there like, which ones are better that absorb more or do what they're supposed to do more effectively?
The masks that are better are the ones that have the best ingredients in them.
So it doesn't really matter if it's sheet, peel off, clay, gel.
It matters on the sheet mask, for example, if it's biocellulose, because if it's paper, the paper's loving the chemicals in the paper are staying in the paper.
Okay.
You might be getting some of it, but if it's a biocellulose material, it's the same viscosity of the skin, so it's the same. So it's actually blending in with the skin, so that when the ingredients are on the mask or impregnated in the mask, and the biocellulose is on the skin, it's actually like absorbing in, and that's what you want to happen. But you could also have an occlusive mask. You could like make it so it has paper, but put a big serum on first and then put the paper mask on, and that's going to force the serum into the skin. Anytime you have something that goes on the skin, the brain is a physiological response that the brain thinks, okay, I got to get this off. I got to get this off. So the brain starts sending down all these moisturizing serums to the skin. So the more occlusive, the more moisturizing the mask is. That's probably why you love the clay so much.
Plus, the clay one that I had was like a magnetic thing. So I had the magnetic, like you would put the metal piece here and you would see it all just come right off. And there was something about that was so satisfying.
Yeah.
And so that's really why I liked it.
Right.
Did you notice results after you do it?
I mean, it was always super soft, and I did love that feeling. Now, whether or not it was really...
It's the kaolin clay, probably, is what it sounds like. And kaolin is Kaolin. It's amazing, amazing clay.
So it is good.
What about I think I've asked you this before, but I don't remember. The green Indian clay.
It's all
good.
of them are awesome.
So clay's good.
I mean, clay's been around since Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Do I have it?
You do?
Yeah, we have it. Environ makes a clay hydrating mask that is just awesome.
You should give her, and I defer to your expertise because maybe it's not the right thing but this biocellulose is that one you gave me where then you put on the other. You should give her one to try so she could experience it. She'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because it's a different feel to the sheet. The sheet is actually dry.
Okay.
When you like lay it over your face, and then she gives you the product that she wants you. So you put it on your face.
Oh no, that one is a different one.
Is that different? Okay, that's the one I was like, oh, it's
that
so
one has,
good.
Well, that one's a little scary at first.
Yeah. Because it can tingle.
Yes.
We'll say.
It has
That's my marketing word.
CO2 in it. So it has, and what happens is there's a gel underneath, and you put the mask, and the mask is impregnated with CO2. And then what it's doing is it's transferring oxygen for CO2. So it's forcing it into the skin. Your skin afterwards is like glow city.
I'm telling you, you would be addicted. You would be.
And how often would you do something like that?
You could do it like once every 2 weeks, but the immediate reaction, you'll feel it bubbling, and there's possibly it feels like somebody might be doing 9-inch nails in your face.
It's like pinpricks.
Yeah. But
really,
if you
good thing you told me ahead of time, because then I would have been like, "What the fuck is happening?" In my
face? Exactly. But if you have little, like I have, like little capillaries that are super close to the surface, and it's like, and then you and then you get past it, and you're like, okay, it's fine now.
It's fine. And I'm a wuss, and it's fine. I think you have a higher pain threshold than I do. You'll be fine. And I'm like, it's fine.
Zero tolerance for pain.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really but the results are like amazing. So but it's it's the combination. That one has actually been around since the 40s in France. It was invented when the movie stars would go to France, and they would get injections of CO2 in their skin. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that bad? That seems not good.
It was not good, but like
they did
everybody played way before us. I mean, I had clients that were getting silicone in their faces, for years for injections. So that was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But that was just thought. I was like, I don't know if that's when you only do in spa or not.
No.
CO2?
The CO2 is only in spa.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's somebody selling it on Amazon now. But
probably. But who knows if it's really what you want? But the ingredients.
Any clients I know, they would kill me if I sent them on with that mask.
I love it.
So I have 2 more questions that I really, really want the answers to. The first one is, what effects does salt water and chlorine have on your skin?
Okay.
Separately, salt water, and what does chlorine do?
Okay. Salt water, by its inherent chemical nature, is going to have minerals in it that are going to make the skin is going to absorb those minerals, but because of the amount of salt in it, it's also going to make the skin dry.
Okay.
So it's just counterbalancing that dryness. I mean, we all go out in the ocean and we're like, oh my God, my skin feels
Yeah.
so good. And or you go to a mineral springs, it's the same thing and it feels so amazing. And then you get out and it's going to be dry.
Yeah.
Right. And then what about chlorine?
Chlorine, I am not a fan of. So
I kind of figured that.
yeah, chlorine is kind of like fluoride to me, So if I really wanted to like have all those chemicals in my body, it's just, a pool is a pool.
Yeah.
And the chlorine is number one, it's not good for your lungs.
Right.
If it's not good for my lungs, it's not good for my skin because my skin is absorbing everything.
As
Right.
they do say, if you're gonna get in a pool, you shower and get wet first because it reduces the amount of chlorine your body's absorbing by over 90%.
Wow. And a lot of people are getting into the saltwater pools.
Right.
Yeah, and they still have some chemicals in the saltwater pools, but it's by far better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it chlorine? Do you know?
No, it's not chlorine, and it's another chemical that they're using for the cleaning part of it.
But it's better.
It's
It's
better.
a step in the right direction, but
Yeah.
they're harder to find.
And that leads me to the last question. Good segue is, what is the difference between dry skin and dehydrated skin?
There are lipids in the skin, and there's water. Same for the body. Water is how we hydrate. So dehydrated skin is the lack of water in the skin. The skin, the body can be, you can drink nothing all day long, and the heart, the lungs, everything's going to get all that water that it needs and the skin's going to just shrivel up because it's pulling all of the water from the skin for the heart, the lungs.
For survival.
That's dehydrated skin.
Dehydrated. Dry is the amount of lipids in the skin. So the lipid is the oil in the skin that is inherent from birth because you were born in that climate with the amount of lipids in your skin. So dry skin or you can get dry skin from using a product that doesn't work or isn't right for you, but dry skin is usually from your heritage of how your skin is genetic. So your genetic causes you to either have dry skin or oily skin. So the dryness is from the amount of oils and lipids. And most people, especially in America, don't eat anything with omegas in it. So they're not getting their fish oils. They're not getting, not that it has to be a fish oil, but they're not getting olive oil. You see the Mediterranean diet and those things, and they're getting olive oil, they're getting fish, sardines in a Japanese culture, in Korean culture.
Right.
They're having oils all the time. Those oils are what's really making a difference in the skin.
Wow.
And you look at, somebody who's Italian, you look at their skin, but they've had olive oil for, forever. I mean, some of the people are drinking, a tablespoon of olive oil daily.
Well, so there's this guy, his name's Brian Johnson, who's famous in the biohacking world because he sold a company and he had all this money, right? So he literally spends his whole day anti-aging himself, his whole routine. And now he set up a company around it, but his whole routine is to cycle back the clock on his body. And
Wait, isn't there some controversy with this guy?
Oh,
I'm sure there's a ton of controversy.
Yeah. There's
First of all, he looks like a woman.
Yeah,
Yes,
he does. He
that's
looks
what-
crazy.
So I just saw something about him the other day.
There's a new Netflix documentary on.
I saw that.
Maybe
that
that's
was
what it
coming
was,
out.
and they were saying how terrible what he's doing is. And
But see, I will tell you this from my perspective, and it's just an opinion. He is not crazy. He might be a little extreme. I say that laughingly.
Eccentric.
He's definitely eccentric.
Right.
And the thing I don't like, and there's somebody else out there that I personally think that when you start to do so much anti-aging as a man, you start to look too effeminate for my tastes, which they could probably care less about, which is fine. They start to look like women to me. I don't like that. But he's not crazy. Like the olive oil, the diet that he's doing, the supplements that he's doing are founded on science. Those are not, I mean, maybe not quite everything, but the core of it, I believe, is way ahead of conventional medicine for one, in terms of he will be healthier than 99% of the people out there with what he's doing. Does he probably take it to the absolute max extreme? Yes, he can. He has the money and the time, and he's building a company around it. And he's building a movement around it. So, but the crazy thing is, like, we went to, not crazy, but interesting to what you were saying, is we went to this convention and his company was there selling the olive oil that's super high quality. Cause I don't know if you know about olive oil. It's like very, it's been doctored, and if you just buy olive oil in the grocery store, it's probably not quality. No. And the mafia's in on it. Like, it's a big thing. I'm surprised they haven't made a documentary around it somewhere, because it's big business. And so, like, the mafia's in on it, all this stuff. So he has a company that is like very high quality olive oil, and his calories are so calculated per day. And he calculates 1 tablespoon with each meal per day with his calories to olive oil.
Wow.
But that keeps the omegas in his skin. Yeah. So his skin's not dry. Right. And that's why your skin is so supple and nice, because you have lipids in your skin.
Yeah. I like those lipids.
Thank you. Genetics.
Genetics.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, recently, a month ago or so, I was in Kansas City, and it was cold. And it wasn't as humid like in the summer. Right. It's miserable. Right. I don't know how I made it in Colorado for 12 years.
I was in Denver, and I was
like, I love Colorado. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, it was so
dry.
Dry. It's just crazy.
And people come here and they complain about the humidity. I'm like, give me all the humidity. Right. Keep my skin.
I mean, you watch somebody who's, 60 years old here and 60 years old in Arizona.
I know. I mean, it's very different.
2 different people. I mean, you're like, wow, that person's 60 and no.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
That's awesome. Well, we learned a lot.
And so the lipid part is more like diet.
Right. Well, diet and also depending on what you're using, that's why the skincare that we have, with Skin Diva has a lot of lipids in it. So it's made with lipids so that the skin gets that nourishment. That's why it feels so plump. Yeah. Especially the cleanser.
Okay. Interesting.
Lipolipids. Phospholipids.
Okay.
You have to say it really fast, lipolipids.
That's funny. It's like double fat, lipo, and lipids are the same form of the word.
I want some off my hips.
I know, really. Can we take it from other places?
Yes, exactly.
Well, very fun. That was all your questions?
Yeah. We actually got through them all, except maybe 1 or 2, but I know we're over time.
I think we're good. Well, thank you, Nancy. It's always fun to have you here.
It was really fun to be here for the first 2025.
I know. You're our first guest of 2025.
I love it.
It was very fun. Well, thank you. And be sure to
stay tuned.